10. Too much protein. Megan Heffert was 25 years old when she died from an overdose of protein. It wasn't that Megan pushed herself too far or ate way too much protein. It was that she had been building up her mass as a bodybuilder while suffering from a disorder that prevented her body from properly processing protein. Because her diet was filled to the brim with protein, her body had a meltdown. The condition is known as urea cycle disorder. Megan, already a mother to 2 children, didn't realize the danger she was putting herself in when she began preparing for a bodybuilding competition in Western Australia. She was gorging herself on a diet of egg whites, protein shakes, and other high-protein foods. She had also started going to the gym regularly, at least twice every day. Throughout all this conditioning, she had no idea that her body was dying. Here's how it works. Megan's body could not break down protein properly, which allowed ammonia to build up in her bloodstream. Ammonia is a waste product, the same product that causes fish tanks to die when there is too much fish poop in the water. This happened to her bloodstream, with ammonia poisoning her brain, leaving her dead just 1 day after doctors realized she had this very rare condition. She was sent to the hospital after being discovered unconscious on the floor of her apartment. By the next day, all brain activity had ceased and she was pronounced dead. 9. Constant sweating. A fitness influencer has died after taking her workout to a rather strange place. Bodybuilder Odyllis Santos Mina was fed up with constant sweating. As an extremely popular social media personality focusing on fitness, she hated that she was sweating all the time. It's odd to think about, but apparently in her mind it got in the way of her social media career. To correct this annoying natural feature of her body, she traveled to a Mexican clinic to get a procedure that would stop her from sweating in her armpits. Sadly for her, the procedure went awry. She suffered from cardiac arrest just after being anesthetized. Her family is now suing the clinic in Mexico for negligence. After her death, it was revealed that the clinic had actually paid the bodybuilder to promote the treatment to eliminate sweat glands. The clinic went out of their way to perform the operation on Odyllis, and they botched it. Odyllis' family is now saying the clinic didn't even have professionals on the scene to perform the surgery. The employee who applied the anesthesia wasn't even trained as an anesthesiast. According to the coroner's report, the death was caused by a combination of the anesthesia and a steroid-like medication that she was taking. In the clinic's defense, they say that Odyllis brought the death upon herself because she never told them about the medication that she was on. It mixed badly with the anesthesia and she had a heart attack and died right there on the table. Let that be a lesson to you. If you're going to get a medical procedure done, make sure the people who are performing it are qualified. 8. Dead in the locker room. A family in New Hampshire has sued Planet Fitness following the death of a woman in the gym's locker room. Emily Hamlin, just 22, had been working hard to stay fit, but when another member of the gym saw her collapse in the locker room, things went terribly wrong. The witness ran to the front desk, where she informed the male staff member that Emily was in trouble. But the staff member refused to do anything, saying it was against gym policy for him to walk into the women's locker room. He didn't even phone 911 right away. It wasn't until another staff member arrived at work that the police were phoned and anyone even bothered to check on the unconscious Emily. She had a weak pulse, and when police arrived nearly 30 minutes later, Emily was already dead. There are two issues here. First is that Emily was working out too much when she really shouldn't have been. She had an underlying heart condition that nobody knew about until her heart finally gave out after her early morning workout. Second, Emily's family is suing because they say if there had been a female staff member present, or if the male staff member had acted in a more timely fashion, their daughter might still be alive. 7. Fitness test fail. A 19-year-old Marine from New York named Tyrell J. Audan was in the middle of taking his physical fitness test at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in California when he suddenly collapsed. Tyrell was a recent graduate from high school and had been an athlete his entire life. He was the definition of physically fit. But unfortunately, he was also the latest candidate to drop dead during a military fitness test. According to his service record, Tyrell was attending communications electronics school with the Marine Corps when he died. But as for the cause of death, the Marines have yet to announce that to the public. All we know is that whatever he was doing during the test was so extreme that his body couldn't handle it and he died. Tyrell also isn't the first person this has happened to. Back in February, Midshipman 3rd Class Duke Carrillo, only 21 years old, collapsed halfway through his physical readiness test at the U.S. Naval Academy. He was only a sophomore, and his official cause of death has also not been released. It's still considered under review. Then there's the case last November when a petty officer died on a treadmill during his physical test at Fort Meade. The public doesn't know exactly what is happening to these guys for them to be dropping dead during their physical test, but it seems the branches of the U.S. military have taken fitness to a new level of danger. 6. Swept out to sea. A Russian fitness coach was washed out to sea when he tried to save a woman who was drowning. His name was Danil Gagarin, and his wife captured the entire thing on video. His wife, Daria, filmed Danil as he jumped into the rough waters near a Spanish resort to save the drowning woman. She then had to watch in horror as her own husband was carried out to sea, where he and the other woman both died. The woman who was drowning was also a fitness coach. She was Emma Mukkonen from Finland. She had jumped off a cliff at the Lazura Cove in Torrevieja, not understanding how dangerous the water was. Despite being in excellent shape, she just couldn't fight the raging sea. Daniil had to jump in to save her. He did manage to bring her up onto a rock sticking out of the water, but then a massive wave came in and swept them both out into the Mediterranean. All the physical fitness in the world couldn't save them from the wrath of Mother Nature. Sadly, Emma's body was recovered way out at sea that day, while Denis wasn't found for another 24 hours. According to the New York Post, both victims were working together at a fitness center on Costa Blanca. Apparently, Emma was a bit of an adrenaline junkie, which is why she made the dangerous jump in the first place. What do you think about this crazy situation? Do you think these people had some kind of superhero complex, thinking they were invincible because they were in such good shape? Or is this just a case of daredevil antics gone wrong? Let us know in the comments. Then, if you like intense videos like this one, be sure to subscribe. 5. Indoor climbing fail. In Colorado, a woman recently plummeted 40 feet, 13 meters to her death. This didn't happen while scaling a mountain or walking precariously along the edge of a cliff. Instead, it happened at an indoor climbing gym. According to Fort Collins Police, the woman was at Ascent Studio Climbing and Fitness when she became detached from her safety system. The investigators didn't find that the equipment was faulty, but she nonetheless somehow became disconnected from the harness. So when she was at 40 feet, 13 meters above the floor and let go of the wall, rather than gliding gently to the ground, she fell backwards and landed on her head. The investigation is still ongoing, with experts saying indoor climbing gym accidents are incredibly rare. There have only been a handful in the last decade. with the previous one being in 2014 when a man had a similar incident in which he let go of the wall and fell to his death. In these cases, it doesn't matter how fit you are. The ground will always win when you hit it at terminal velocity. 4. The most intense bike class. They say not enough exercise can kill, and whoever says that is completely right. Just ask the woman who didn't exercise for a year and almost died when she attended an indoor cycling class. She went an entire year without running, speed walking, exercising, or doing anything overly physical. But enough was enough. She took herself to the indoor cycling class to get back on the old horse. After the class, she had extremely sore muscles. At the time, she thought it was normal. After all, she hadn't used her legs that extensively in quite some time. But the pain didn't go away. It got worse. After 3 days, her legs were in excruciating pain and she began to have extremely discolored urine. She compared her urine to Pepsi because it was so dark. But she was so embarrassed that she didn't want to go to the hospital. Instead, she phoned a medical helpline. But the helpline wasn't much help, as she was told that a doctor would call her back maybe in around 8 hours. So she sucked it up and went to the hospital. As it turned out, she had acute kidney damage and something called rhabdomyolysis. If she hadn't gone to the hospital when she did, she would have had renal failure and been on dialysis for the remainder of her life. How did all this happen? She was informed by doctors that because she hadn't exercised for so long and went straight into the most intense workout possible, her body went into shock. Extreme muscle strain caused her kidneys to almost fail, which would have left her seriously ill for the rest of her life. 3. Caffeine toxicity. A 29-year-old personal trainer died after drinking a pre-workout shake. That's because this shake happened to contain somewhere around 200 times more caffeine than what you find in a traditional cup of coffee. Thomas Mansfield was in extremely great shape. He was also a father to 2 children living in the small town of Colwyn Bay in Wales. Before he went to do his workout, he mixed his ordinary workout shake with some extra pre-workout powder. But within minutes, he complained that his heart was racing and he felt sick. He then collapsed in front of his wife, was rushed to the hospital, and died there in the emergency waiting room. An inquest found that he had ingested 5 times the fatal level of caffeine. This meant his death was ruled as caffeine toxicity. How it happened is beyond anyone's understanding. His pre-workout powder shouldn't have contained more than 150 milligrams of caffeine, yet it contained hundreds of times more than that. He didn't mix any more than he usually did. He didn't use anything he hadn't used before. Investigators are still trying to figure out how all that caffeine got into his powder. To be honest, it almost seems as though pure caffeine was put into the powder container by someone who knew an overdose would kill him. But as of right now, there's no proof that that's exactly what happened. 2. Deadly treadmill. Dave Goldberg was the CEO of SurveyMonkey and the husband of Sheryl Sandberg, Facebook COO. He was worth millions. And like many young, successful millionaires, he was in fantastic shape. He frequently used his treadmill to keep his heart good and strong, but when he was on vacation with his family in Mexico and decided to hop on the treadmill, it proved to be the last thing he would ever do. He fell off the treadmill, cracked his head on the ground, and died from hypovolemic shock. This is when large amounts of blood and fluid are lost from the brain. Basically, he hit his head so hard that it cracked open and all his brain fluid leaked out. For all his millions of dollars, there was nothing anybody could do to save him. According to CNN, this isn't even that rare. Between 2003 and 2012, there were 30 deaths caused by treadmills. In fact, Mike Tyson, the famous boxer, well, his 4-year-old daughter was killed when she accidentally got strangled by a cord connected to a treadmill. And it wasn't even running at the time. 1. Slipped barbell. It may seem impressive to be able to bench 315 pounds, but absolutely nobody is impressed when the barbell slips and crushes your neck. Tragically, this is what happened to Kyle Thompson, just 22 years old. He was at the Elite Edge Transformation Center in Iowa, bench pressing 315 pounds, 140 kilograms. But in a freak accident, the barbell slipped out of his hands, fell on his neck, and left him gasping for air. Kyle was quickly taken to a hospital in Des Moines, but there was nothing they could do to save him. After all, he took 315 pounds of steel straight to his trachea. Imagine getting punched in the neck by a train. That's basically what happened to him. And to make it even more shocking, he had been working out with a spotter. Even the spotter couldn't stop the barbell from hitting Kyle's neck. And if you thought treadmills were dangerous, just listen to these statistics. According to the Center for Injury Research and Policy, between 1990 and 2007, no less than 1 million Americans had to be treated in the emergency room for injuries due to weight training. During that time, 114 people died just trying to lift weights. What's the craziest fitness fail you've ever seen? Let us know in the comments, and thanks a lot for watching today's video. For more awesome content, remember to subscribe to World List and check back for more intense stuff. See you next time. Bye.